Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the story of the Petite Martinique Aquaponics Project and the determination of the Petite Martinique Women's Group, headed by our very dynamic Akeisha. And this project is very important in the sense that it is run by women. It is on a very small island, and it shows sustainability and diversity in the economic dynamic. So next slide, please, Sasha. So Akeisha, would you tell us a little bit about your island?
Good morning, Annie. And good morning, everyone. And thank you guys for coming. And I hope you guys enjoy this presentation. So most of you, Petite Martinique.
Could you, right.
Yeah.
Sorry
so as most of you may know, Petite Martinique is the smallest of the tri-island states of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. It is the northernmost Grenadine island.
Right.
Everybody seeing me?
Yes, we are. Good.
Okay, so Petite Martinique is the smallest of the tri-island state of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. It has a population of approximately 1,000 people, and the main economic activities are fishing, basically tuna fishing and reef fishing, and there's a lobster industry, conch, and farming is done on a smaller scale. And these are just the main activities that people do for income on the island, well, our livelihoods, as we say. So in the agriculture sector, which we are focusing on, which is done on a really smaller scale, we depend on the mainlands of Grenada and prior to the COVID, St. Vincent for most of our fresh produce. Getting in here is an issue most of the time because you have to have good transportation in between, and then we are not really able to produce certain things at certain times of the year based on the drought session, which goes longer than both off the mainlands.
Okay, next slide. So Akeisha, we've heard about your little island. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I don't know how many of you have known, but I'm only 30 years old, which is pretty young, I realized. I thought 30 was a lot. And I am a born Grenadian. I'm married. I have 2 children, 2 boys. They're 12 and 7. And I am the president of the Petite Martinique Women in Action. I am also a farmer. I'm a fisherwoman. I'm a bird watcher. And I'm a big visionary because I'm always thinking about what's next, what's for the future, what can we create as a people to make our lives easier. And I'm a volunteer. I volunteer for almost anything. Once it's a community initiative and it can improve, I volunteer. So this is a picture of my family. At the top, it's myself and my husband. We had just done a fishing course. So we're both registered fisher folk. And then on the left in the bottom is my son, Jahim, he's 12, and my smallest Aiden, who's 7 now.
Lovely family. So now we have you got involved with the setting up of the Petite Martinique Women in Action. You want to tell us a little bit about that? To give us that background so that we can understand how the project came about.
Okay, so at the time in Petite Martinique, there were very few organizations that were actually registered and functioning, and we created our own group because there was always representation from the different parts of the sector, like the Fishermen Cooperative are there for the fishermen. Then you have the Regatta Committee who deals with the festivals and the cultural activities throughout the year. And we created a group to focus on women and women initiatives that can impact youth. So the picture on the left is one of our first meetings that we had. And then the picture on the right is way further along, like a year ago, so 4 years in total, that we had the actual launching of our aquaponics project. So we were registered in August of 2016.
So you said that when you all got together, you all had to think about what you all were going to get involved in. So you said you came up with 3 ideas. So if you could just give us a little explanation as to how you came about deciding on the aquaponics as opposed to the other 2 options.
So we had 3 main focus ideas since we were focusing on doing something in agriculture. So we had shade net farming, which has been done over time by different people. Then we have hydroponics, and then we have aquaponics. Now, the idea of really doing the farming initiative was that because we didn't have enough water at certain times of the year to sustain the crops, we needed a solution for that. So the aquaponics and the hydroponics were some of the solutions that we're looking into because they are climate smart agricultural initiatives. And then we had to choose between the 2. Would it be hydroponics or aquaponics? What is going to have the best environmental effect? And doing the research, we found that water would still be wasted in hydroponics based on the solution and how much you have to mix. And then after a while, you have to deposit it because the minerals are sort of thrown out of sorts and you need to start fresh again. So, and aquaponics actually became a more sustainable option because it's always recirculating. The fish are getting what they need, the plants are getting what they need, the bacteria is doing their job. And then we chose aquaponics basically.
So the steps involved with the building of the aquaponics system. Can you talk a little bit?
Okay, so after all the planning, we had to submit the idea, of course, to someone to fund it because based on the scale of activities, it required a large financial startup. So we got registered and we applied to the Jeff Small Grants Program. We made a plan and we went back and forth discussing what the activities would be, how we would work, and then it was approved and we got the materials to actually start the project. And then we, first of all, built the storage shed to be able to store all the other items that we were going to receive to continue the project. And then we did the setting up of the greenhouse, the setting up of the NFT, which included barrels for filters and fish tanks, and then adding fish to the system. In between that, there were also smaller activities that had to be carried out within a certain period of time. Next slide. So the project actually started on the 17th of the 9th month of September, right, in 2018. You know, that's when we actually received the funding. And then later on in October, that's when we got the materials, because then you have to remember, even though you get the funding on that day, you have to go and buy stuff. You have to make arrangements from the hardware to the boats to get it here on a certain time. So in that was the experience of learning how a project really unfolds. Next slide. And then we had days that we would stipulate for us as a women to come out. So on the left-hand side is a photo of myself and 2 of the other members, Miss Bethel and Miss Goldhill. And we set up the frame for the building because we're women, but we're strong women, you know, and we know about architecture and construction and because we've done it. And we had the men coming in and give their expertise as well, where we see on the right. So at the top, it's one of my neighbors, Mr. Clement, and then at the bottom there in the right corner, right at the bottom, that's my husband drilling all the holes with his tools. So we had different people coming in at different time, helping us, teaching us, learning also, realizing that we know what we're doing too. Next slide. After we set up the storage shed, we had to go to Grenada because the only other persons that actually had systems functioning were people in Grenada. So we visit Mr. Melvin Coutain, who is at the Woburn Methodist School. And then we visited Mr. Ted Charles, who was situated in Annandale. So we learned different things from both of them, and we took away things that we would sit and plan again to know, is this best for us based on our situation? And on the next slide, you'll understand why. Next slide. So Mr. Coutain had a deep water culture system with a barrel system, and we came in and he showed us how to do the water quality testing. He is on the left-hand side. And then we have Mr. Charles, who is on the right-hand side. And we noticed that Mr. Coutain was in a greenhouse. He was covered. If you look behind him, you'll see that green backdrop there. And he had his system well protected. And Mr. Charles, who was in Annandale, yes, he had a framework of a greenhouse. If you look at the top in the back on the right-hand page, he had a frame, but he didn't use it because he didn't need it. And it was based on different temperatures. So we learned different things and learned how to tailor our projects to suit. Next page. So after we came back from Grenada, we started designing our greenhouse. On the left-hand side, you would see where we dug the trench and we started putting our PVC and our steel, and we had the woman come in and cut the PVC and glue it together. And we took a day and we actually just put the frame and everything up, and we covered it with shade cloth and everything. And then on the right-hand side of the page, we started to build the NFT system where we designed most of the thing based on the flow of the land and how best we think the water would flow if it was flowing in a recirculating system. Next slide. So we got our fishes from Grenada. Originally, the plan was to get them from Trinidad, but based on doing research, you realize that in aquaponics, any freshwater mammal you can use can work in aquaponics. Basically, you can use crayfish, you can use any kind of slugs or anything that lives in fresh water that produces waste, and you do the same filter system. So we went to Grenada, we got the fish. In the middle, you will see the smaller ones, and then we got some bigger ones after. And you know, in that process, we were learning how we're going to transport this fish because everything comes to Petite Martinique by boat. So then we figured out you have to put them in a bag, you have to tie the bag, leave an air bubble that can last about 3-4 hours. And that's about the distance it takes from Grenada to Petite Martinique anyway. When you get there, you put them to adjust in the temperature of the water that you're going to put them in. And then you open the bags and you allow them to swim around. And we got our food from Grenada through a supplier. So all of that was pretty much simplified instead of having to go all the long way and in the preparation that we thought was the only way to do it. Next slide.
Akeisha, what kind of fish did you, because the audience might be interested in knowing the type of fish that you use.
Tilapias.
Okay. Thank you.
Next slide. And then we had our system set up, which you will see in the future slides. But running the system, we knew that it was going to cost a lot based on the amount of kilowatt energy that the pump has to use to service a system of that size. And so in the planning stage, we already knew that we needed renewable energy. So immediately we had our supplier come in, that's Eclipse Grenada. They made the order for the panels, batteries, the entire system, the inverters, everything. And they had it shipped to Petite Martinique. They came up here over a 3-day weekend and they set up the entire system for us and had it functional. And then immediately after that, you could see that the difference in the amount of energy that the solar sort of reduces from you having to use a system that's connected. I mean, sometimes, of course, you have to have your system connected to the grid, because it's not gonna shine all the time. But the solar energy really alleviates the electrical costs. Maybe in future we should look also into wind, because it's where we live. It's open to the Atlantic, and we have a constant flow of wind, even though it's not blowing in other places. So that might be a future initiative. Next slide. After that, we had another part of the project that had to be executed, which was actually doing a session with the community. So we had persons like farmers from the community come in, and persons from the Ministry of Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs, and we have one officer gentleman that was here with us and another local just coming interested to know. And so we brought them into the aquaponics and we showed them, how do you test your water? What do you have to do on a daily basis to run an actual aquaponic system, and how that differs from what you're doing now? Is that something that you can look forward to? And everybody was very much interested in learning. And I hope that in future that there can be initiatives that they can take back and learn and integrate it into their cultural farming practices so that we can improve the sector instead of just being dependent on outside whenever there's a drought or a shortage or there's a lockdown. Next slide. So this is some of the photos of the crops that I took over time. Some of these have just started, some of them, which like the lettuce, the red romaine, yeah. No, not romaine. Sorry, I can't remember the name right now. Brain freeze. Anyway, that was Minetto, red Minetto lettuce that we grew. So we grew green Minetto, but we grew also red Minetto just for the variety. And then we grew okra and the pak choy, of course. And then in the next slide, you would see we grew cucumbers and we grew a pumpkin, we grew squash. We even had at one point a banana tree in there. We had a papaya tree in there. But then over time, you learn that your system can only handle a certain amount of plants and the amount of water. Are you capable to sustain the plants, which actually helps you in that sector of agriculture where you need to know, am I doing too much? Am I not doing too much? Because the plants take what they need and very little is evaporated. So instead of you just wetting the soil continuously, you know how much is going in and how much you need to add, it helps a lot in that area. Next slide.
So we had right, the videos. We'll show 2 videos here. So just please bear with us a minute while we, and Akeisha will explain what's happening in the 2 videos.
So here we have Ia, one of our members. When we do the actual sale and delivery, she rides around on her bicycle, in the flatlands in PM. And when she's not doing that, we just have these reusable green bags that they're selling now. And we go around and we sell all our produce to the neighbors. And in the next video, which is coming up, you'll see that we just harvest them. We have a cooler, which we fill with water to cool down the lettuce. And we just bag it up and we go and we sell to the person. Sometimes we do like little lettuce bowls or salad bowls if we have different. At the time, we didn't have different veggies to add, but we did have a lot of those small lettuces that were nice and juicy. So we did make small salad bowls, and then we had packages of pak choy and packages of lettuce that we went and sell to the community. Next slide.
Right, so we go back to the PowerPoint now. Good, very good job so far, Akeisha.
So now in all of this, I mean, once you're in agriculture, you always have issues with pests, whether they be ruminants or the iguanas or anything that likes to feast on plants, even those small millipedes and centipedes. Anyway, and we had a case where we had cabbage worms coming in. If you look at the top, you'll notice that that's a 6 row NFT system. And I had pak choy in there, and one day I came in and I noticed, if you look in the bottom left on the screen, there were these pretty little yellow eggs. You know, the person might just have to kind of looking at their screen a little bit in the bottom corner. And these butterflies, these pretty butterflies, they came in and they laid these eggs. And within a day or so, I noticed that the eggs were brown, so I didn't bother. And the following day, there were the hundreds of these little larvae eating the pak choy. And within 4 days' time, they could eat a whole head of pak choy if you don't take precaution. And in aquaponics, you have to learn that you can't just spray chemicals on your plants because it's a recirculating system. What happens is that anything you spray on your plants actually goes into the water system, which goes directly back to the fish. And if that is toxic to the fish, then you kill your main source of fertilizer, basically, or food, and you have to start from fresh, because then your plants will still die and your bacteria will die, your fish will die. So you have to be pretty careful when you're dealing with pests in aquaponics. I think the best might be to just have net around. Maybe you need a smaller grade so that a lot of air and light goes through, but it's so small that pests can get in, like butterflies and so on. Next slide. So along the lines of the project, we had help from the CANARI PISCES project, which Ms. Prophet became my mentor. And we actually looked at the project to decide where can we have improvement in the project. And an area that I overlooked in, first of all, in the planning process, and then we had further discussions, and I guess we didn't really think that it would be a problem, was the design of the fish tank structure, because it needs to be a structure that can withstand both weather and weight of the fish tanks. And just in case there's spills, what are going to happen? So over time, the wooden platform like totally degraded, and it started to come down. Whenever there was a rain, the ply would stretch, and you would think, oh my God, if I come up and this whole system falls, what am I going to do? I have to run and start picking up fish, So we designed that the platform should at least be a concreted structure, and you need covering for the fish tanks to keep them cool, or else your fish are going to overheat and they're just going to cook in the water, and then your bacteria will die. So the CANARI's PISCES project on the EU funding, which we're very grateful and thankful for, they really assisted us when we needed that part of the project to upscale itself. Next slide. So here we have the actual casting of the platform, and we have one volunteer who's there, and we have two other men. And down in the bottom, if you look right in, there's a middle photo. There's one of the women in the group. Her name is Ia. So she comes out whenever there's any kind of work, and we work hard and we do it, and we move on and we see what's the next part of the phase. So we had good cooperation in that area now, because we realized that you need cooperation to be doing any kind of community project, because no one person benefits. Everyone benefits when you work together to accomplish certain things. Next slide. We were awarded by the Ministry of Agriculture on the Caribou and Petite Martinique Affairs, and it was a World Food Day celebration, and they recognized the initiative because it was never done in Caribou and Petite Martinique on the guidance of the ministry. So they didn't really have any expertise to put in while we were doing it. But what they did was learn side by side with us, and they decided in future that they, if anything that we need, like technical assistance, the ministry would try and help do that. So in that regard, they rewarded us for doing something that was outside the box that has never been done, and I guess potentially improve agriculture in areas like Caribou and Petite Martinique, who have a different climatic challenge to the mainland. Next slide. So go ahead, Annie.
No, you're doing quite well, Akeisha. So I know you're going to go through the challenges. So go right ahead.
Okay, so in the project, there were challenges. When you're a new young organization coming into this different, I think of it as a different arena, because there's community projects where you come together as a community and you pool finances and you do projects. And there's another way that you can do it whereby you find the project and you look for donors and you look for ways that you can raise funds to do these activities. So it's like two different ways of thinking of community work. So just doing that, yeah, go back one. Just doing that, we learned, there is a challenge in just thinking about something and then writing it down on paper and making it make sense to someone else. There are certain things that need to be addressed. So a proper business planning and who do you submit it to, you know? Then we had establishing business relations in the community, in the neighboring island of Caracas or even Grenada. When you're a new organization, of course, people know you, but in a business sense, how do you relate to the business community? You have to establish the relations that you are not just a single person anymore. You are a group of people. And once they can understand that, then they understand, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that, because it's a different arena. Again, you have to understand how to do when you're on when you're learning these new things, which is involved in actually doing community work on a certain level. And then effective planning and execution activities. How do you work with deadlines? How do you actually plan for things? Do you just think, okay, I'm going to do something in 1 month? Is it realistic? You have to remember that you have to order stuff or you have to buy stuff, or it's not in Grenada, you probably have to get it from another country. That's going to take time. How do you work that into a budget and into a time frame? That was another challenge. Then we had community in-kind support and assistance. Everybody wants something done in the community. Are you going to come out and do it for free? Most of people think, oh, I'm just wasting my labor. But then you have to understand, sometimes when you want things done, you have to do it yourself, or you and a group of people need to make up your mind that this is going to benefit us, so we have to do that. And sometimes you need to, I think it's funny that you have to actually explain to people why you need to do this to improve your own life and own livelihood. You get kind of confused along the way, but that was something that you had to explain to people. And when they understood, like, this is why we're doing and what we're doing and who is going to benefit, then you get their support and assistance willingly rather than thinking about it the other way around. And then downsizing of the proposed activities to fit a budget or potential funding agencies. It's nice to have a general idea of what you think you want done, but at the same time, can you fully fund a budget that's big? Where are you going to find the resources to do that? How much is it going to cost? And then fitting that into someone who would at least assist, because sometimes as a group or even as a single person, the resources that you have cannot really do the activities that you want to do. So you look to other person or other ways like fundraising to see how much can I do this. And so if you find an avenue which can say yes, then you downsize your activities to fit whatever budget which you can continue in steps and phases, and you achieve smaller goals instead of just working in a long-term thinking where, I think it's better to achieve stuff in phases than have to, just wait on one long-term. I think you improve faster. And then pest control and water collection. Oh my gosh, these, as I showed you the pictures with the pests, this is something that can really affect how your system progresses, how it continues. And if you don't, after it happened, go back and start again and change and do something different, you can really be, disgusted and just give up and say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. So learning what to do when you have these challenges really makes a difference. Next slide. So there are organizations which I would say really made definite impact. So when you work with these organizations, you learn different things. And I think networking is very important when you're a group. You need to learn how to get along with other groups. It's not a competition. We're all trying to achieve the same goal. And some of the groups that I've worked with along the way is Susgren. They're out in Union Island. Whatever they're doing, they try to involve Petite Martinique, and we also try to involve them. Then there's CFF, the Caribou Fisher Folks. They are a fishing organization who sees sustainable fishing as a way for the future. And we have the Petite Martinique Fishermen Cooperative, who's right on island here, who are working on ways to improve the fishing sector. They're thinking in terms of how do we get ice and storage and things, because we are a fishing community. We export about 90% of the tuna that goes out from Grenada. All these boats belong to Petite Martinique. We have a definite say in how the sector progresses as well, not just agriculture, fisheries, renewable energy. The non-state actors, Ms. Ferguson and her organization, always look out, they always share knowledge, they always involve us in discussions on how to improve certain things in certain areas, even in civil society. Birds Caribbean, again, they come in, they teach us what's the connection with food and birds and animals and migration. Aegis, just working with women and seeing how women can impact sustainable livelihoods. How do we drive that? What is our role in improving the sector? Then Slow Food, which teaches good, clean, fair food for everybody. The Caribou Farmers Association, they again deal with agriculture, and the Olive Branch, learning about aquaponics and lending their expertise. It was very, very greatly appreciated. Next slide. So we want to say special thanks to CANARI and through the European Union, who we think would definitely assisted us greatly in achieving this level of understanding and reaching a sustainable level in our project. And thank you to everyone in attendance. And now we would open the floor for any questions relating to the project.
Yeah. Thanks, Akeisha. I think what might be nice now, if we could just, everybody, all the attendees, if you could just tell us your name, and if you could tell us what organization you're linked with, I'd appreciate that. I see Amber McMurtry. You want to start, Amber?
Hi, I'm an acquaintance of Keisha, but I'm just a neighbor, and I did volunteer work on PM individually, so I'm just interested in seeing all her hard work as a neighbor, what's going on.
Okay, thank you. Mr. David Andrew.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
David Andrew here from Caribou Farmers Association. And we are pretty much thrilled of what Akeisha and her group has accomplished, and we're looking forward to continue working with Akeisha and her group, and we're looking forward for better things for the sector.
Thank you. Stacey Ann.
Okay, so I'm Stacey Ann Simon Simpson, attached to the Grenada Development Bank under the Small Business Development Fund.
Thank you again, and welcome. AJ Business Solutions.
Hi, I'm Jenny Theodore, partner with Anya Profits, and as you know, Anya is involved in this project.
Akoso.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Akoswa Dardane Edwards from CANARI, and I am happy to be here and thrilled to see the work of Anya and Akeisha as part of the support team of CANARI and the project manager for the PISCES SME project. Congratulations to Akeisha.
Bevon Shadell Charles.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Akeisha and I attended Anakin High School together. So we are linked that way. Also, we are both actively in agriculture. I am CEO and founder of a sustainable farm here in Grenada called Akeisha Farms.
Okay, thank you. Kathy Ann Bethel. Kathy Ann? Okay, maybe she'll come on later. Devon Baker.
Hi, good morning, everybody. The founder of a fairly new NGO as well on Community Development Initiative, as well as I am with government. I'm the climate change focal point for Carriacou and Petite Martinique.
Okay, thank you. Dawn Mark.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I am a personal development coach. I work privately, self-employed, but Akeisha and I met through the ICAS project. She worked in Petite Martinique supervising one project that we had there. So that's how I know Akeisha, and we've sort of stayed in touch.
Wonderful. Galaxy J7 Prime. Okay. Kayana Bowen.
Hi, good morning. Kayana Bowen, Program Officer with responsibility for climate change and disaster risk resilience with the UN Women Multi-Country Office in the Caribbean. We were invited to participate just to see the success story, as some of these techniques may be applicable to other Caribbean countries. So I'm not sure if you're aware of the Engender project that is currently being implemented in 9 countries. So this type of work would be beneficial across the region as well. Over.
Thank you. Laurentia.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Laurence Augustine. I'm from the Ministry of Agriculture. I was invited by Khadija from Jeff because I was helping some of the farmers with community groups with applications for Jeff funding. So yeah, that's how I got introduced to this talk. But I was also just interested to see how Jeff projects work. So this is like the first project.
Okay. Thank you. Raquel Benabi, who is another one of our mentors in the CANARI program. Raquel.
Good morning, everyone. And I'm so, I do apologize that I am just coming in, and but I want to be able to congratulate Keisha and her team for the work that they are doing and continue to do. And so I don't have much to say at this time, but except congratulations.
That's all right. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Renella Thomas.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Renella Thomas, and I'm also working with the UN Women Multi-Country Office, and I'm based in Barbados. And I'm just on to learn a few more things that we can also implement in other countries. And this is really great work. Congratulations to Akeisha, and wish you all the best in your future endeavors with your team.
Thanks very much, Renella. Sam Braffett.
Well, my name is Samuel Braffett, or Sam Braffett, as Anya said. Well, I represent Grenada Cocoa Association. We implemented a solar wall project back in 2020, and it really has been a very good project. Drying cocoa, sun drying cocoa, or using the heat from the sun to dry cocoa, especially during periods when there's a lot of rain and so on. And additionally, it's been a really plus for us, because more and more the ability to test cocoa for all different things, including including biocarbons and so on. And in the past, we were using diesel. We will burn diesel. We had a diesel burner to do our drying, especially in rainy times. And so we are able to do more of our cocoa sun dry. We are hoping that we'll have a next similar project in other places in Grenada, because it's in one place and the volume of our cocoa is, it really can match the volume of our cocoa. And so we are thankful for Jeff, and I want to say congratulations to Akeisha and the project. And I know that it will go a long way to inspiring others to do similar projects.
Thanks, Sam. Sandra, I know that has to be Sandra Ferguson.
Hi, good morning, Anya. Good morning to everybody. I feel like it's a reunion of sorts. And I want to thank you for the invitation. And I want to extend my congratulations to Akeisha. I met her a couple of years ago. I can't remember when, but I do recall her being described as one of the dynamos of Petite Martinique. And we see it happening. So I really want to congratulate you, Akeisha, for that excellence that you are sharing with us, and to wish you all the best in the future. And I also want to thank you for your generous comment. And we look forward, to continuing collaboration and contact with you and other colleagues. And I'm in my capacity as the Non-State Actors Interim Secretary, as well as the Interagency Group of Development Organization. Thank you, and hello, Akusa.
Thanks, Sandra. And I see
Sandra.
Shepherd. Okay, then we go on to Stacey Ann. And then the last one would be if there's anybody from St. Thomas Aquinas who might want to say a few words. So Stacey Ann.
I went already.
Oh, you went already. Sorry,
Yes.
I'm looking at the list and I just, what about St. Thomas Aquinas? Anybody from St. Thomas Aquinas would like to say a few words? Okay, have I left out anybody? Or if I have, then.
Good morning, Anya. Dexter Miller from the Petite Martinique Fishermen Cooperative.
Yes.
I'd like to say congrats to Akeisha on the great job she did, coming up with innovative ways of doing agriculture here on Petite Martinique. She's also a member of our cooperative, and we work closely together. So congrats again.
Wonderful. Anybody else that I quickly left out?
Yes, Anya.
Yes, Chile.
Just me. Hi, I'm Jenny Rivera. I am also a CANARI mentor, like Anya and Raquel, based in Dominica, mentoring fishing marine reserve in Dominica. I want to really big up Akeisha. I met her when we had the mentors workshop in Grenada, and I was really impressed, but she has surpassed my first impression. That was fantastic. Congratulations, Akeisha, and you, Anya. Double A, goodbye. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. So we will now open, we have a few more minutes that we can open up to any questions that you may have for Akeisha. If you want any clarification on anything that she said, or you want to know a little bit more, please go ahead. Any questions? I note we have some, right, we have a lot of congratulations in the chat. Yes, Amber, go ahead.
I also want to say congratulations, Keisha, because I've seen your hard work and diligence. I was wondering, to drive more sales for you, are you meeting the demand you were expecting, or what are some ways you are hoping that you can get more demand for your product?
Good question. Akeisha?
Amber, I think we're really matching the demand, because most of the time when we're harvesting, we try to harvest in phases, and then you realize people will be like, oh, well, I was left out, when can I buy? And it really goes out fast, and I go through social media as well. I put out a post, but new markets are always welcome. Maybe in future we can upgrade the system, make it a little bit better. But I think for now, we are going to try and work with the space that we have achieved by removing the wooden platform inside and we put it outside. So now we can add more grow space, and then we will see how we can match the market, because it's an up and a down as well too. You know, the weather changes can impact your system. If one mineral is thrown off, it can hamper the growth for a week or 2 weeks. So we'll figure it out slowly as it comes, you know, but for now the market it's okay.
Good. I'm very glad to hear that. Wishing you much success.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I go ahead? And I'm Laurence Augustine from the Ministry
Yes,
of Agriculture.
Yes, Laurence, please go ahead.
I'd like to know how long did it take to build everything? And you did say that you started in 2018, but you didn't say when everything ended. And I would also like to know if you're finding the whole business profitable.
Hello. So it took us about 30 months to really, you know, get everything figured out. And the business isn't 100% profitable because, as I said, there are losses in different areas, and you have to have a certain amount of plants to be able to manage things like food and not so much the electrical, but if something happens, like for instance, say your pump goes out, or one of your tanks, something happens to them, per se, or the filters, you know, or how do you place these things? So we're still learning to deal with it. So I wouldn't put like a judgment on, you know, profitability just yet. I think it needs a little bit more time to see, because when you do an aquaponics system, it has to take time for the system to balance off, first of all, before the plants even start to grow, and that could take a while. And that's what we learned. So even though we had the system up, we were just waiting for the fish to do their job and the biological bacteria to start building up. And when we actually started producing produce, which was more to the end of the project, you know, it came in slowly, and then we had to realize that you have to test the water all the time and know the different practice. So profitability, we're covering the cost, but could it be more? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe if we had a little bit more control over the different aspects, you know, pests and weather and changes in these things, maybe.
All right. No, thank you. I'm also one of the people that are included in the youth project. There's a youth project that should be coming up shortly. And I think businesses like yours are really something that the ministry would like to look into and see how they can be improved and make sure that they are profitable. So I'm not promising anything, but I'll definitely be giving you a call in the next few weeks or so. All right, thank you.
Wonderful. I see Akeisha, you have your hand up. You wanted to ask a question?
Yes. I wanted to ask a two-part question. The first part is, Akeisha, what are some of the things that you believe you would need to scale up, and what would be your definition of scale up? And my second part would be, there are a few agencies on the Zoom call here. Can you say what type of support you would like or would assist in getting you to scale up and become more sustainable from those agencies that are here. Thank you.
Akeisha?
So to scale up, which would mean like adding more grow space and coverage, but not even that, more, water, and being able to store even a larger capacity of water. And then you think having to have a bigger catchment, because if you have all these tanks to fill, you need a larger area. So it's going to take, in my perspective, learning what I've learned, it's going to take the support of not just financially, but getting people into the zone where they understand the scale or the capacity that you need to have and the amount of technical expertise. Even when a system grows, the responsibility becomes more. So even having like a program where you can have people from the, let's say, I hate to use the term humanities, but like skills, people who want to learn skills, youths that want to learn skills, they can come in and learn how to grow, but they can also be able to make a stipend at least, and then the business can manage itself. So having, not just technical support, but financial support, and being able to share expertise on different things or what they think might be better for us, because we don't have all the solutions. We're still learning. We're still learning from people around us in the community, outside the community, across the region, across the world. Most of what we've learned is from across the world. And then we've networked with people and organizations across the region that are doing such projects. And then that's where our expertise came from. But it's a learning process. So any way that any organization can share or assist or improve what we're doing now, it's welcome.
Okay, is that Akoso? Are you fine with that response?
Oh, yes, I am. Thank you, Akeisha.
Okay. Is any other questions? Okay, so if there are no other questions, I just really would like to thank everyone for attending. I think Akeisha's story with the Petite Martinique Women's Group is a very inspirational story, and it is something that could be replicated in the region in areas such as Petite Martinique, for example, other small islands, and that these things can be done. So I would just like to thank you all for attending on behalf of Akeisha and myself and everybody else who has been involved in this, Sasha from CANARI, who assisted us, and my business partner, Jenny, who helped with the PowerPoint with presentation. We'd like to thank you all very much for attending, and whoever can support, assist Akeisha, please do so. Akeisha, you have any other last words that you'd like to say? Akeisha?
Hi.
Yes. Any
Just to
last
say
words?
thank you for persons who attended, and looking forward to working with whosoever else is not here. I think this is being recorded, right?
Yes, it is.
Right. So I'll share it. I guess Ms. Prophet was going to share it, and CANARI may share it on their website and hopefully another platform, so that if anyone needs to go back and have a look, I mean, even that can be able to help or assist, because not much people might want to come forward and call and be like, yeah, I want to do this. But just seeing our story and seeing the things that we have experienced can at least give some kind of expertise on how they should move forward if they're thinking of doing a project like ours, or even upscaling our projects.
Okay, so thanks very much. Have a wonderful rest of day, and we're near the weekend, so enjoy the weekend. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for attending and everybody who participated in this presentation.